I'll just tell you about our young man with the sexual orientation issue. What happened with him, he had no friends except for one other girl who was pretty much an outcast in her school. And through the course of group, he started in our group, but he wasn't talking to people. And this group had 3 boys and 3 girls in it. And he wasn't talking to anyone in group. And one day we did a group process exercise where 3x5 cards, tape them on everybody's back, write an adjective describing that person. Then you take it off your own back, you look, and you're supposed to go around the room and everybody says what they expected to see written and what was something that was unexpected. And this kid took the card off his back, and I was watching everybody's reactions as they were doing this, and his eyes welled up with tears. My thought, immediate catastrophic thought was, oh my gosh, what did somebody write on there? We went around the room, and everybody, the thing you expect to see, you're nice, you're nice, you're nice. Everybody says you're nice. But when it got to him, the thing that you didn't expect to see was, you would make a good friend. I only tell tearjerkers, right? You would make a good friend. And this helped this kid to understand cognitively that not everyone at that school was against him. That he had to open himself up to experiences like in the group and these exposures we were doing in his school, because there were going to be kids who were accepting. And we're talking 1993, 4 in there. You know, it's a while back, but still. Which he did. He came out to his mother. His mother and he then went and met with the principal, talked to the principal about what was going on. And he really did flourish in school, and then also, you know, accessed services for gay adolescents and support groups and stuff. So it worked out really well. And his exposure when the parents came was he wrote a play, and he and the other kids acted out what it's like to be in therapy. It was hysterical, you know, and he did a really fun exposure about that and about all the ways it helps to change you. Considerations for parents' involvement. We've talked about this in the past today. The degree of pathology, depression or anxiety pathology that interferes in functioning with kids, the more they're experiencing in teenagers anxiety, depression, the more, let's say, severe it is, we may need more involvement of the parents, especially when there's suicidality, when there's school refusal. The more comorbidity, especially when there's externalizing issues, we tend to find better results with parents involved. The degree of parent-adolescent conflict, though, is going to tell us something else, where we might need some family therapy for the parents and the kids together to work around issues and other issues. And sometimes some of the issues of the parents' belief systems and culture and all maybe need to be addressed a little more directly for them in therapy. Parent psychopathology is an issue. We try to work with the less affected parent if they have issues that are happening for themselves, depression, anxiety, or whatever. And of course, degree of family dysfunction and stress, can they do this, or is it adding more of a burden in terms of the degree of functioning with them to come into group, to our sessions. The transition sessions, as we've seen, and the example in the role play are what are each of their goals, what are their beliefs and fears, how can we teach them to communicate, talk to one another, and engage in some problem solving, you know, to give a little more leeway to the adolescent, to help mom do so in a way that makes her comfortable and secure in the situation. We have these developmental hierarchies, and the issue of coaching. The parents need to learn to coach the kids in a Socratic way. Think back to those slides of parents doing all the talking. You should go, you should do, you should be. The parents are shoulding them. What we want the parents to do is sit back and say, well, tell me what you think you want to do. Why do you think that would be hard? What do you think might be some alternatives? We want the parents to learn to listen and to question in a way that leads the child down a path of understanding and enlightenment and coming to their own solutions that the parent can reinforce. That's Socratic questioning in the spirit of the great Socrates from his day. Question to help them lead to their, because when that happens, instead of you should, when you're leading them to their own understanding and developing a plan, they're more engaged in it. They're going to own it. They're going to be proud of it. And you help tweak the plans, but not with controlling the plans. So we teach them how to be good coaches. And then letting go is very important. What's most difficult for the parents is letting that teen struggle and make mistakes. When mistakes happen, they're going to happen. Kids are going to get lost. Kids are going to forget things. Kids are going to misspeak. They're not going to fill things out correctly. They're not going to want to do things. They're going to let deadlines pass. I mean, there's mistakes that are going to happen. All right? The fear for parents is that this situation is so critical to school, to success, to the family. Is the situation, whoa, come on, how critical is this that we can't work around and with it, right? And remember, we have to remind them that overprotection trap is going to limit their progression towards adulthood because they can't wake up on the day you're moving them to a college a different person than they were the day before. They've got to train for it. And we want to get you to help your kids to train for it. So a helpful coaching style, we're helping the parents focus on effort, not outcome. You know what? I got to say this too. Here I am in Florida. I used to use the analogy, I want parents to be Bobby Bowdens, not Bobby Knights. You know the difference between those coaches? So Bobby Knight, the basketball coach from Indiana or wherever he was from, he was known as a hothead, screaming and yelling at the team, and it was all negative. I think, so anyway, that's him. But Bobby Bowden, the best coach in the world from Florida State University Seminoles. Go Noles. Bobby Bowden, he was a warm coach. He was a gentleman. You know, we want parents to be supportive. Evaluate the situation realistically, focus them on what they know, how much they've handled in the past of different situations, and ask, how will you do this? And give them opportunities to practice. Don't find ways of getting out of it. Give them opportunities to practice. This means if you want your socially anxious kids to come out of their shell, you better be ready to hosting sleepovers and hosting some parties and driving kids to the movies and taking them to the pizza place and dropping them off. You've got to put in a little bit of time so that they can do the same things other kids their age are doing in an appropriate way. And we want to praise all their efforts, no matter how small they are, as they start working towards taking control of their anxiety. And then, mom and dad, we want you to manage your own anxiety. Manage your own. Remember, it can transfer to a child, your anxiety. Children will resonate with your mood from the moment you give birth to them and even before. Actually, data has shown even before. But they're going to resonate and they know their parents' moods. Learn to recognize what sets you off with, I've got to protect her or him. Teach yourself how to soothe. You don't have to go off to a spa to get soothed, although it's helpful, it's nice, but you've got to teach yourself how to soothe yourself in the moment. And stick with realistic ideas in your mind, not catastrophic, crazy ideas. Stick with the realistic ideas. Problem solve for yourself and take care of your needs. Take care of your needs. You know, when I hear about children who are sleeping with their parents, one of the things I question is, what's the function of that child in that bed? What's happening, besides the fact that maybe there's anxiety for the child, but allowing it to continue, there's something that's happening in the marriage, that they're not taking care of one another as individuals who need a good night's sleep and as a couple who needs to be with one another. And maybe there is a marital issue that needs to be taken to a marital therapist, but the child should not be the intervening variable that everybody's focusing on attention on, So think about your own needs, all right? Because you have to work with that so you can be healthier for your kids. Relapse prevention is we try to anticipate what changes are coming up over time with the adolescent, what new challenges they're going to have to meet, everything from college applications to job applications and so forth, learning to drive if you're here in Florida and stuff, things like that. Our New York City kids don't drive, you know that. It is actually a good thing. Okay, you might be scared about putting them on a subway or in a cab, but I get nervous about driving, you know, and teenagers and driving. So they don't drive, and it's just like, we made a deal with our girls that one night on the weekend we'd pay for the cab home. You know, cabs are not cheap. But that way they could go out with their friends, and of course they would let us know where they are, and they would let us know when they were getting in the cab. So we knew to expect them within 20 minutes, and we'd pay for the cab ride home. So parents do things like that, you know, if we don't have a car. So that's some of the ways that we would work with that. But we've got to give them opportunities to practice and think about what is coming up in the future that may be a developmental change or a challenge to their anxiety, and how to remember that if you are nervous about something and you then cancel the situation or don't go into it, and you feel relief. If you feel relief, that says you have to stop and ask yourself, why am I glad I didn't go to that party? Why am I glad that the test was called off? Or why am I glad that, you know, something's not happening? If you are relieved because you were anxious about it, we teach the kids you've got to create that situation or something similar to it and get into it. And explore again in your mind, what is going on? What am I worried about? How likely is it? And go through the whole deal. Relief means you need to expose, okay? We fade sessions over time and have booster sessions at planned time. We have a college readiness group, so getting ready to go off to college, different things like that. We have a sleepaway camp readiness group for kids who are going to go to sleepaway camp for the first time, for those who do that. And our whole goal is working kids towards these developmental transition targets of finishing school, developing their goals in terms of career, managing their own emotional issues, right? Developing healthy attitudes and behaviors around health care and their self, maintaining healthy social relationships and romantic relationships, and being able to separate successfully from the parents and form new relationships that are mature family relationships. So let me just say, we're helping kids head towards emerging adulthood. Again, Jeffrey Jensen, our NETS work, looking at being able in the 20s and beyond to explore themselves in great ways and love and work, and have a lot of possibility and hope for their future. Sound okay? All right. Thank you very much for coming today.